After coming to realize the downsides of stage blue, at some point you start to transition in stage orange. And the key terms of stage orange are freedom, individuality, and success. This stage is an individualistic stage, and you tend to be more selfish, but it's a way more mature selfishness than stage red. You focus on your own achievement and improvement. Efficiency becomes really important and always optimizing. But you're not trying to harm other people as Red did. Red was very much in the moment and he didn't care about others at all. Here, stage orange, they optimize and improve with marketing and advertisement, looking for loopholes. Those businesses tend to also be often not environmental sustainable because they only care about the personal profit. Your own career is very important. Hard work and business. That's stage orange. Of course, there are businesses in almost every stage, but in stage orange, business really starts to boom. Being the best in their specialization and using your individual strengths. So here you really also reflect, what am I good? What is my signature strength? Competitive thinking is also a huge thing in stage orange. Performance pressure and even greed, which might lead to burnout, but burnout often is an event that helps people to reflect and understand the downsides of orange and then transition even further. But we will talk about this later. The thinking from rags to riches, everybody can make it with hard work. Prosperity and consumerism. That's stage orange. They like status symbols, but they focus on prestige and achievement. So Mercedes, Rolex, all those rappers, those gangster rappers you see flexing with their cars and their watches and the beautiful girls with big boobs, that's stage orange. But also, on the other hand, science and rationality and thinking, stage orange. Thinking versus emotion. Stage orange is not really good at integrating their emotions. They're all about cognitively thinking. Orange also replaces religion, basically with science and rational thinking. They're also very pragmatic. Stage orange also has a world-centric view, so there's no homophobia or racism anymore. Stage blue was still in this in-group, out-group thinking. Stage orange, they accept different people from different areas, different genders and everything, because they don't really care about it, because everybody is free, right? It's about everybody's individuality. You can do what you want, so you don't really care if there's a gay couple or not. They can do whatever they want, right? That's an orange thinking. Stage orange also starts to be a good future thinking within the next 5 years and start to build a strategy and plan, having those planning skills. Stage blue was not really sophisticated when it comes down to planning the future. You can also think in a meta perspective, so you're not only thinking from your point of view and the point of view of others, but even from a third perspective. And that's why it's often difficult for blue to understand orange. Orange can already, especially the later phases of stage orange, they are really good in looking at yourself from a third perspective and observe your behavior from an independent view. And this is really already a rather high-level thinking. And stage orange evolved about 400 years ago. Now, let's talk about some practical examples. If you're driving on the highway and it says the speed limit is 120, stage blue will drive 120. But stage orange, they will drive about 140. I'm talking right now about Germany, because there you can still always drive a little bit faster and it's still fine and you're not getting any ticket. And stage orange always tries to be most efficient, try to push the boundaries a little bit. Coaching is also at least stage orange. Of course, not only stage orange. The self-help industry in general. If you say to a stage blue person, hey, you gotta have a coaching, they will think, what did I do wrong? But stage orange will be like, great, I can improve myself, can get better, so I'm more successful. Capitalism, and in general the first world countries, there's a lot of orange within those countries. Rappers flexing in the videos about sex, money and fame. Gucci, Prada, Rolex, Lamborghini, just to call a few. Grant Cardone, he's a real estate investment guru basically. You can find him on YouTube as well. Deeply stage orange. Lean management and relocating production in low-wage countries. So of course also stage orange. It's all about how to be more efficient. Sarcasm arises in stage orange. Don't talk with blue people in a sarcastic way. They won't understand it or they won't like your humor at all. Nowadays science, in general, being in this thinking of not being caught up in the rat race, this 9 to 5, but they want to have their own business, investing in bitcoins, getting rich quick, and living the good life instead of working for somebody else's dreams. That's stage orange. Startups often have an orange culture. The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, I mentioned The Wolf of Wall Street already in stage red, and there are a lot of red parts within this movie, of course, but it is still highly, highly orange. Although they bounded the rules and even the law, which is really stage red and being very impulsive, but if you watch the movie, you can also see that there are also a lot of stage orange moments. Maybe even most of the movie is stage orange with a lot of stage red within. Recently, I was in contact with a consulting company and they talked about intrapreneurship, which is all about thinking in an entrepreneur way, but you're still working for a company. And that's what companies want more and more nowadays, that their own employees think in the stage orange way and having this intrapreneurship thinking, looking beyond the box, not just do what you're supposed to do, but try to do even more, be more creative and try new things. That's what stage blue was not able, but people don't want stage blue people anymore in their company. They really want those stage orange thinking people. Those are just a few examples I wanted to mention. Now, if you are transitioning to stage orange, often a lot of depression is arising. For example, people become aware about their homosexuality. They're outing themselves. In blue, it's not possible, but now it's a challenge. So people often push themselves into an identity crisis. Who am I now really? Because in stage blue, I was just following the rules, but now it is all about individuality and freedom. So who am I actually really? And this is of course a really difficult question. That's why a lot of people fall maybe into a down phase or depression and trying to figure out who they really are, because it is a challenge, but it really broadens your horizon to think this way. I would like to quickly differentiate within stage orange, and I would like to divide it in basically two substages: the receptive expert, which is more the beginning of stage orange, and the active achiever, which is more about the later stage or the later phase of stage orange. In the early phase of stage orange, you try to be very efficient, while in the late stage you try to be effective. So efficiency just means trying to do everything fast and quicker than you did before. So if you, for example, going from door to door trying to sell vacuumers, you're just trying to do this fast and quicker and better. But in the later phase of orange, they try to be more effective. So they think, wait, why don't we just change the approach? Let's do email marketing. Let's do online marketing. We can get much more customers here. So here you think really in this big picture way. In the early phases, you're more detail oriented. That's why you're this receptive expert. You also tend to be a little bit stubborn. It's hard for you to change your mind and change perspectives. The later phase, so the active achiever, really has this perspective wisdom, can take different angles into account and say, yes, I was wrong here, and let's change it right now. Let's change it up. In the beginning, you really try to optimize others and systems and processes. But later on, you become also more self-reflective and improve oneself. And that's the moment when you start to really reflect on your psychology and everything, which then, of course, then at some point helps you to transition to stage green. In the early phase, you're still very much overwhelmed because you have so many new ideas, you think in a much more free way. And that's why you're not an idle project manager, because you always try to change what you want to do, you have new ideas. But in the late phase of stage orange, you become a very good project manager because you have this big picture, perspective, wisdom, and effectiveness. You know what is most important and how to deal with the situation in an optimal way. So that you can already see quite some differences even within one stage. It just becomes more sophisticated and more smart. But of course, things also change in a way that helps for a smooth transition to the next stage. And that's what we will talk about in the next video. Now, obviously, you probably already came to realize that again, there are some ups and some downs of this stage. Positive virtues you learned in this stage are creativity, working in a healthy way but being very productive, having a healthy competition. This can really push your performance. Inspiration, motivation, also for others, and being goal-oriented and future-oriented. Be open for the world. Freedom, independence, and prosperity are all great things. But at some point, they can also get a little bit too much. And those are also partly the negative sides of this stage. Greed and constantly forcing yourself to optimize things, never be satisfied with the moment. Also, being unsustainable, for example, environmental-wise, you just are interested in the profit over the next years, don't care about others so much if it comes down to your own profits. Also, with unsustainable, I mean often yourself, because you start to work so hard, you're not feeding your muse, you're not recovering optimally sometimes, and that's the moment when it starts to become a little bit unhealthy, and yes, it might even lead to a burnout. The lack of appreciation of the older. Stage blue was very much about caring for the older ones. Stage orange is not really caring about that anymore because they're a little bit more egocentric and only look for their own benefits. And they're also lacking feelings. They're just those thinking heads. And again, really come to realize, not only learn about this cognitively, but really dive into the stage and experience what are the negative sides here, what are the positive sides here, and what do I want to keep. That's how you improve yourself, but just keep reflecting. But in the end, we will also talk more about the realization for transitions. So stay tuned, but before that, we will talk about communication. So how do you talk with stage orange people? You can use storytelling. They like this a lot. And you can use irony and sarcasm. They really love it. Talk in a scientific way. Show them graphics in your PowerPoint. And they don't need any explanations on the PowerPoint slides. They understand it just by looking at the graphics. They don't want some random text explaining what is happening there. They're smart enough. Meetings and brainstormings are stage orange and they like that. Take all perspectives into account, but be effective here. That's also the leadership style. Discuss together at the table with all the people and try to get to the right solution. Talk about principles and not rules. Stage blue loved rules. Now you should rather talk about principles. If you give a stage orange person a compliment, give them a reason for it. Hey, you did this great because. Of course, this is also always a nice thing to tell them why, but especially in stage orange, they love that. And also, for example, give them a commission. They love that. They love to get a little bit more money, for example. They really, really care about that, and that motivates them a lot, oftentimes. If you criticize them, tell them it needs to get better, but not necessarily tell them how, because here they're smart enough, they want to have their own freedom to improve it. Give them freedom, but also tell them if they need something from you, they can just let you know. So be approachable, but give them their freedom. Now at some point, You worked through the stage over years, you maybe made a lot of money, and you realize, wait, there is something changing up again. You realize it's not sustainable what I'm doing here. I'm doing things still on the cost of others, on the environment. There's not always this linear growth. I spend all this time working and not spending time with my family. All the success and money is not going to make me any more happy. I thought I would be happy when I have a wife, when I have money, and when I'm successful. But now I have it all, and I think, is that all? And that's when you start to transition, because you realize this is too shallow. There's something more to it, which is stage green. And sometimes, yes, burnout triggers this transition. Often those deep experiences in life, they often help transitioning your way of thinking and help you to have this paradigm shift. But you really have to experience this, and that's why a burnout is very experience-like. This is a great experience regarding shifting your paradigm, and it's way more effective than just cognitively thinking about the downsides. You're not really understanding that here it is always about experiencing. In any stage, if you want to grow, you got to experience it, not just sit here and thinking about it cognitively. It is also important. You got to have your theory, but this has to help you to actually make the right experiences. Stage Orange also realizes, hey, pragmatics helps you to get a lot of things done, being rational, being practical. But so what? It doesn't make you any happier. Yes, I'm efficient. Yes, I'm effective. Yes, I'm productive. But so what? I'm not more happy. Also, within the late stage of Orange, you're ready for psychedelics. So it might be the case that they help you here at this point, because the late phase of stage Orange, you become very open-minded and reflect about yourself, right? In the beginning of stage Orange, you didn't do this. Also, not in stage Blue in the prior stages, but here you really start to be more open-minded and can reflect. If you do psychedelics before that, you just interpret things wrongly. You think that you might go crazy, all those things. And of course, if you have legal access to those substances, do your research. Do this in a very responsible way and start slowly. But here I'm not going to go into depth what it is all about psychedelics and how to use them. That's maybe another video in the future. But here we're going to keep focusing on the spiral dynamics model. And lastly, contemplation and self-reflection as always. Do your research, put yourself out doing those experiences, but then reflect on that and contemplate deeply. Take your time. Don't waste your time on social media or watch movies all day long. Really take your time to reflect on what is going on. Okay, that was another quick video about another stage. I'm very aware of the fact that yes, I'm giving you the most important information here, but I'm not giving you all the information that is out there. So yes, buy maybe another book about spiral dynamics. Also look up other sources. Of course, I'm also biased. I'm also talking in a specific way. I'm having my specific biases as usual. Talk with people who are in stage Orange. Talk with people who are outgrowing stage Orange or who already outgrew stage Orange. Talk with people who are about to transition in stage Orange and gain a deeper understanding. And of course, always also question the model entirely. To which degree is that right? To which degree does that help me by now? And also try not to rate yourself too high and think, oh, I'm already at this stage or I have to do this now, because this feels inauthentic. You can't just say, okay, I'm actually still stage Blue, but I'm just acting like I'm stage Green. Something is missing here, and you will realize that on the long run, and you have to go through every single stage at first. All right, the next video is about stage Green, which is a more collectivistic stage, and it is more about connecting with your deepest feelings.